Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where today we're breaking down Man City against Chelsea in the pre-season. Now, I do want to cover some parts before I get into the actual specifics of what's going on here on this absolute diabolical way that Chelsea are playing, because if you don't understand the context of what you really need to be doing in pre-season, you come to all these sort of misnomers of this is what's happening and this is what's happening. And quite honestly, most of these coaches don't know. And people think, oh, but Cash, they're coaching in the Premier League, so they know. No, they don't. They follow what they've been taught or what they've seen in the past. They can't really adapt. So let me give you a classic example. Right, this is what we're going to look at Chelsea, for instance, right here. If your playing style, we're going to say, is 100%. That's exactly what you want to get to, right? That is where you want to be playing, is your 100%. Okay, but what does that mean, Cash? Right, with all the players and all the transfers and everybody we can get, that is my system. We're all playing at 100%. But with the current players in my squad, we can only do about 34% of my system. By the way, that's brilliantly drawn. I know I'm an artist. I'm fantastic. So, what your goal will be do, yeah, that's proper English there, Cash, is going from your 34% to trying to get to 100%, and implement your exact playing style. That's what you want to do. You want to slowly transition to that, because if you just try to do this, you already know you don't have the players because you're stuck down here. So you have to use what you've got, build, have all these little stepping stones as you're going, keeping your team solid, winning games, scoring goals, and doing all those things as you slowly transition to exactly your playing style, and you can do it. Now, people will go, oh yeah, but Pep Guardiola, Cash, Pep Guardiola. Yeah, he gets so much money, he can do what he wants. And he also starts at probably something like maybe 56 to maybe 60% because of the quality of players in the squad that he inherits. When you're coming into this Chelsea side, there wasn't really a rhyme or reason or system that they were playing. You've really got to try to figure out how to be solid, not concede goals, because you're coming into the Premier League in a couple of weeks. Then you want to try to sort of build your team to try to get to your playing style up to your 100%, okay? They're not doing that. And I'm going to show you that in the way that they've conceded all of their goals in this pre-season here against Manchester City. The fact that their coach doesn't understand this. He's got players that don't understand the roles. And you're going to see that straight away here. Right. So remember, and I also know you've got to have the caveat about this as well. So this is the other problem in pre-season. So you've already picked your starting 11, but you won't have them because they'll be holidays, the Euros, the Olympics. So you might have anywhere from 3 to 7 of your starting 11. And your job is to try to implement what you call your B team players. So every position you'd want 2 players in. You've generally got the worst player in the position trying to play in that role, because your best player is probably still off on holidays waiting to come back, or he's playing in the Olympics or doing something. So that means that you need to get that B level player playing at much higher standard than he really needs to be playing, or really saying, do you need to replace him? But what you don't really have is C-level players, and that's what you have here. So as we're looking at this, right, if you just look at the shape and system right here, you'll understand that this is the space, this is where the ball needs to go. And of course, the coach isn't letting them do that because he wants them to pass it out of the back. But here's the problem. They have squeezed with a little diamond here, right? And that's exactly what they always do. So the way you get around a press, which is the modern nonsense talking, you mean trying to win the ball back? Oh, it's a press. It's not really a press, but let's just say it is. What they're doing is creating a pressure pocket. So with these 4 players, they're looking to isolate one player and create a pressure pocket so all 4 players can pounce. So each one of these players is going to try to cut off a passing zone. That's what they're going to try to do, and squeeze the ball. And how you beat that pocket there is don't even bother trying to play anywhere near it. You can see the little 4 and you go straight over it into this massive space over here and you get out. But because they're trying to play their new system and their coach is trying to do this, they're not looking to do that. And this is what I mean, where you want to get to your 100% where you can pass the ball out. That's where you want to get to. We're going to hit 100, but you can't get there yet because you don't have the players to do it yet. And you haven't got the people that can play out of this dynamic pressure pocket here. So you have to go long. Well, it's not really long, medium range here, and then play yourself out of trouble and get down the other end. And as soon as this happens, watch this guy here. He causes all the problems for Chelsea. I'm trying to point so you can see him. Right, this guy, let me highlight him right here, but a little bit better. Right, him. He causes all the problems here. Watch this. As this ball comes in, watch, bosh, dosh. Right, now he needs to take a touch. Now, this is one of the things that when you're a coach, you try to explain to people that you don't play first time. You take a touch. People go, well, that doesn't make sense, Cass. Yeah, you play first time sometimes, but a lot of the time you want to take a touch. And the reason you take a touch is because if you play first time, you're telegraphing your pass and everybody knows where you're passing to. Watch Haaland here. He's playing it first time. He knows where he's already going and he's going there. However, if you take a touch, Haaland moves and reacts, then you can pick a pass. And he only has one pass and it's over here. That's the only pass he's got on. And here's the other part. The only pass that this guy will have on is down the line there, and he hasn't made that move yet. So not only has the keeper made the wrong ball, this guy's making the wrong choice. He doesn't see that. He's telegraphing his pass because he's playing it first time. And this is what happens. Bosh, straight in, then the pressure pocket closes. Do you see that? Now look. It looks like he's in trouble. He looks like he's made the mistake, but he hasn't. It's because he's hung him out to dry. His teammates completely hung him out to dry. And remember that pocket of 4 I was just talking to you about, shutting off the lanes so you can't pass to anyone? Look, he's making sure he can't pass into there. He's made sure he can't pass back there. Haaland's cut off the goalkeeper, and we got you. He's not good enough to pass the ball through that little gap. Makes a mistake. Haaland goes over. I think they get a penalty. They get a penalty here, but I'm not really worried about the goal and the penalty being taken and all that sort of rubbish. I'm more worried about how the ball is breaking down for that goal scoring opportunity in the first place. And guess what we're about to see? A carbon copy of that in the next goal. Now here's the other problem. If you're the coach, you're the manager of this team, and you just conceded 2 goals in the first 30 minutes from the exact same problem, doing the exact same thing, implementing your system, because you want to do this hipster football and you don't have the players to do it, you're going to be in real trouble really quickly in the Premier League. Oh, look, the exact same problem. Can we see the dynamic pressure pocket that they're creating? 1, 2, 3, 4, squeezing the ball, cutting the passes out. They know that this guy wants the ball. So what I used to do a lot of the time is you wait for this ball to come in here. They're doing having players a little bit higher. I would have probably had this guy here. He'd been a little bit further back, and I probably would have pulled these players a little further back if I was coaching this team. But Pep's a little bit different than me. But what he's initially doing is the same sort of response. Is when this ball goes in here, you want to nick it off this player here. You do not want to allow, brilliant, more mathematications coming from Cash. You do not want to allow this player to turn and be able to pass the ball forward. All you want to make him do is pass it backwards, and then hopefully one of these players will nick it off him. That's what you really want to do, okay? That's why you got 2 players here. So if he goes that way or that way, he's got no choice. We're going to nick the ball off him, so he only has to go backwards. Again, what did he do last time? He played the ball first time. He didn't take a touch, and the reason he take a touch is for so many reasons. But he wants, first of all, think of it this way, right? The minute he takes a touch, people have to come and pressure the ball. That means all that movement then comes towards him. That means he can play away from them. If he's just playing it first time away from them, he's not bringing anyone into him, not getting anybody close to him to do anything. And he's not freeing up any other players. As soon as he holds on to it, all these other players will move, something else will happen, and he'll be able to pick out a better pass. Right now, he should have already analysed it. Guess where the same pass was last time? It is out here. Now, also, I'm going to quality of player again. If this guy was any decent quality player, he would play that ball out over here. But this is what goes back. He's probably still in the 34%, where his manager wants him to be 100% perfect playing the ball out of the back, and he's not good enough because he doesn't have the skill set, he doesn't have the vision, doesn't have the confidence, so he's still back here. And this is where these mistakes will happen. And if they're happening here in pre-season, 2 weeks before the season, I'm telling you right now, they're going to happen in the season really, really quickly. Because you don't make this mistake once and then twice again within 30 minutes and not think it's going to happen again in the unless you're changing the whole system again when the season starts. So when this ball gets played in, watch this clown shoes of a player here, Bosch, as it goes in. Oh, first time ball. Where's he played it? Absolutely nowhere. He's under pressure. He could have put his foot on the ball. If he puts his foot on it, at least he might be able to turn. Like I said, you don't want to overcommit, which this player has exactly done, because if he takes a touch and he turns, look at what happens. Off he goes. Probably doesn't have the confidence and probably doesn't have the skill set to do that. So why are you making him do that job as a coach or a manager? You can't do that. You're isolating that player now. You've just killed his confidence because he's given away 2 goals in the pre-season and he knows he's not capable of doing this role. So that's awful. That's on the manager, killing a player's confidence. Little would-be Haaland runs in and does what he does. He kicks it into the net box. He should have kicked it with sound effects. He does get more goals, pointy things if he does that. Let's get on to the next mistake that Chelsea are making. I did want to comment on this on Modric as well. I found there was a clip when I was looking at this yesterday, and I couldn't find it today, where basically they play this long ball over the top, and he runs onto it, he gets the ball, but this is where he picks it up. So the ball of him outpacing the player, doing the good thing that he's only good at, is chasing the ball and outrunning a player. It's great. But now look, he gets the ball here. All he's got to do is try to play it into feet here and have a slot at the goal. But this is why he's a terrible football player. Now, here's the other thing. I did a YouTube breakdown at the beginning of last season because some idiot YouTuber did, oh, this is why Modric's worth 100 million. And everything he said, he was wrong. He had like 160,000 views on his video. And I'm not one of those people. I don't care about the views. What I'm more worried about is 160,000 people agreed with this idiot, thinking that this guy's any good at football. And this is a classic example of why he's not. Every decision he makes is wrong. The only thing that he can do is run. That's it. So he turns inside and he tries to have a shot. It's not even a good shot. Doesn't have a cross. I mean, the level of quality here is just atrocious. Watch this. Dosh comes in as a shot. Like, well, what are you doing? You could have laid it off here. There's so many other options, but he just doesn't have the skill set or the ability to see anything on the football field. I remember I'll have to think of the player's name. You never had to mark him. He was super quick. Everyone was scared of him, but then they realised, and it lasted like another year and a half afterwards. He was so fast. All you had to do was run alongside him. He'd run out of bounds. He'd run down the end line because he didn't know what to do. Couldn't actually play football, but he was really, really fast and exactly the same as Modric. But let's get back onto the Chelsea defending and passing out of the back. Okay, this is the point where the Chelsea's possession breaks down. But I want you to look at the situation again and see if it's like any other situation. Now, I know it's out wide, but it's the exact same problem. And if one player's doing it and another player's doing it, you've got a problem with what you're coaching in your training sessions because everyone isn't understanding what they're doing and they keep giving the ball away the same way. Or maybe the players just want you fired, manager, so they're all doing it wrong exactly the same, which I've seen before. So watch this. When this ball comes in, what were we saying? Does he need to play it first time or hold on to it? He's past the halfway line, not by much, but look what he does. As the ball comes in, Dush completely knocks it back, misses the run. If he takes a touch, he's got a chance maybe to understand where this ball go, but he's completely missed the run of this guy. He hasn't really looked, hasn't really connected. And it's an identical situation that the other kid he was doing, where he was just trying to get rid of the ball first time, because I guarantee you they've done a training session where someone's there, they're playing the ball in and he's just knocking it off. And guess what? In training it works every time because the player's there and everything's right. But when you're in a game and the guy's running past you and you've actually got to think on your feet and do things, and all of a sudden you look like idiots because he just plays it into little Oscar Bob here. And I love his name, by the way, Oscar Bob, he's brilliant. And then I'm going to show you some terrible 1v1 defending. And that's what gives the goal away. But it all stems from the same misplay again here. So if you look at this, right, you're drawing a line and you're going, okay, where is he? Yeah, he's a yard. See that little foot there? That's as straight as I can get it. But his body shape isn't quite right. He is looking that way. Okay, do we see that? That's where his shoulders are. That's where his hips are. He's committed too far. What he's really doing, so if we draw a line, let's see if I can draw a line. That's the line of his shoulders. That's the line of his shoulders, okay? So he can get into this space really, really easily because your shoulders have overcommitted. If you're drawing a centre line here, like this, down the player, right, and a centre line down this player here, okay, you can see that this gap here, there's a massive space here. So that means he can turn into that space easy. He can't turn into this space easy because you're defending here. Does that make sense? It's much easier when you've got people on a field and you can show them and move them around. I don't really have the skill set to do it on technology like this. So all he's going to do is cut inside and do that because this player has given him the back part of him to do because his centre line there, he's gone too far on one side of it. If that makes any sense to you, I hope it does because, yeah, I'm much better showing you with cones on a field doing it this way. So as you watch as it moves, do you see he slowly tries to get his body shape right, but it's too late because what he's actually done is planted his foot now. His body weight has gone down because he's cutting inside, and because his body shape was wrong to start, now it's wrong again, and he just cuts inside and just drills it into the bottom of the net box. Bosh, done. Simple. Unfortunately, I can't find the better clip of this where the camera angle's a little bit wider, but it's a similar situation, and when it starts to zoom out, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a defender squeezing a ball between all these players here, trying to find a Chelsea player down here just slightly off the screen. As I move this forward, you'll see it a little bit better than I'm talking about. Boom, there he is, okay? So he's just threaded the ball through the eye of a needle instead of going out wide here. 1, 2, 3, 4 players. Yes, let's pass between those 4 players or go to nobody and let's pass it out here wide. could be some problems with the Chelsea system and the way they're trying to play out. Now this guy here, honestly, should do better. He should just have a touch and be okay, but he's not. What he does, have a guess. Plays it first time. Oh, what a surprise. It's like they've been doing that wrong all day. Who would have known? Oh, yes, me. What a shock. It's that simple. All he had to do is take a touch and then run off into the space to do something, but he doesn't. He tries to play a first time ball, completely loses it again, then end up Man City just runs straight through them and Haaland goes and kicks it in the net box again. Who would think it'd be another first time pass that doesn't quite meet its mark, because all he had to do was hold on to it, make the player tackle you, make the player do something. Don't give it to them for free. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. That's 4 times they've done it. I need to figure out how to use a camera properly. I really do. Right, there we go. Let's just move this on. Now look at the breakdown. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can see 3, 3. I don't know if you actually see what I'm meaning by that. Right, so think of it as this is 3 in a line. That's 3 in a line. That's their 3 in a line. And that's their 3 in a line. This 3 have just cut through this 3. And this 3 have just ripped them through this 3. And you can see why. Because of the shape and the structure again isn't there. There's too much space in between everybody, and that's because of the way they're trying to pass the ball out. They're trying to create this space, and that's all that they're looking to do. So when they hit you in transition, you've got no cover at all. You can't really get back, so you've got to make sure when you're trying to pass that ball out, it's perfect. Oh, and look, if they pass it out wide, like I said over here, it would have been so much easier, wouldn't it? They knock it in. Haaland doesn't get extra points because he doesn't use sound effects as it goes on. Bosh, bosh. And he just does what he does, kick it into the net box. Now, I'm going to cover a bit of the Chelsea goals here as well, because the Sterling goal is a great goal, but it's not much to really talk about. But there is the thing, when you're winning 4-0 in a friendly and someone else scores 2 goals on you, basically those 2 goals don't count. And you go, well, that sounds stupid, Gaff. Well, they don't. You've done what you've done. You're 4-0 up. Then all the subs and rotations happen. Everything changes. You've proved your system. They've put their best couple of players out. You've put your best couple of players out with what you're doing. You've played around, and all of a sudden you change it, and then you don't care because you're just giving people a run out. And so those last 2 goals where people go, oh, look, Chelsea have scored 2 goals. It doesn't matter, because it's all about the first sort of, I'd say 50, 60 minutes. And that's where all the play is. After then, it's just a complete, it doesn't matter. It just really doesn't. So let's just have a look at those. Or should we look at Haaland kicking in the box? Haaland, potosh, there we go. You can see the space that Sterling's got here, though, before this cross comes in. But here's the difference between Modric crossing it. I'm not quite sure who this little wee kiddie is crossing the ball. But he's got a bit of quality on him. Difference of quality of a cross and Modric. Quality of a cross, Bosch goes across, volleys it in, quality volley on his left foot. Difference of a good quality cross or someone playing wide that can actually kick a ball instead of Modric. That's a massive difference for Chelsea. Let's get on to their next goal, because I think there's a mistake that City make I want to talk about. Oh, it's not a mistake City make. It's exactly what I've been talking about the whole time. So when you're trying to beat this little pressure pocket here that they're creating, all you have to do is go long and break the back 4, well, the back 3 at this point, because that's where the space is, and they do it, and all that happens is this wee kiddie runs in and kicks it into the net box, because that's what you're supposed to do. The easiest way to the goal is to kick it out the goal, not to pass it around 16 times. There's one of the things that people don't understand. I don't even know if they coach it in coaching licenses anymore. I can remember when I did my UEFA C years ago in the just as 2000. You cannot have width on a football field, right? You cannot go wide unless you have depth. So if you don't have a player deep that you can knock the ball straight away to, that should be your first option. You cannot have width here, because all they'll do is step up and squeeze, and if there's no players for them to knock it to here, you can't pass it here because they can just squeeze it. They didn't seem to bother to tell them that when they were doing their A-Pro license, and they think you can pass it out of the back without ever having that threat in behind. The threat in behind enables you to pass it out the back. And if Chelsea just played to their assets, threat in behind, played it to that Modric player who's terrible. I preferred this kiddie here because he's putting a great cross and he's running and smashing it into the net box. Much better than Modric. There'd be a better team. Then you can start creating the space at the back, because you pulled all their players back because they're worried about you kicking the ball over the top of them and smashing it into the goal. But there we go. Basic football. Who would understand it? Yes, everybody, except for the Premier League managers. Because what happens is this as well. And when you become more educated in football, it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't coach that or do that because that's basic or that's simple. Yeah, but There's a reason it's basic and simple. If you ever studied the history of football and the original formations and what they were, when you had 9 up front and 1 defender and all these other weird and wonderful things, and how those things have transitioned, which most of these managers haven't done, Cash has, you'll understand where you implement these things and how you do these things to beat certain teams, and why you do this at the back, and why you play the ball here. You don't just play the ball out of the back for playing the ball out of the back's sakes. There's reasons for it, and if you're not hitting those reasons in your team is forever going to fail. But other than that, this little wee kid, he runs in, kicks it into the net box, does a good job, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.